What's good, everybody? Two slices of humble pie this weekend for the Washington Wizards, falling to the Charlotte Hornets, and tonight the Los Angeles Lakers. We're going to recap both games, and we're going to talk a little bit about Bradley Beal tonight. Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again with my guy, the real Ed Oliver. Thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. So we're going to start out with the Charlotte Hornets game recap from Friday night. So, with this lineup with Daniel Gafford and KP, do you think this could be an effective lineup? Because we saw it with the Hornets game, and we saw it tonight against the Lakers. So, as you were starting with the Hornets game, so is this a lineup you like with both of them together?
I like it. I'm actually a little upset that it took Wes so long to play this lineup because looking at the numbers, I want to say Charlotte, they only had 10 points in that fourth quarter. Gafford played a lot better next to Porzingis. I thought he had some solid minutes next to Porzingis tonight. Of course, they gave up 55 points to Anthony Davis, which is crazy. Anthony Davis has been on a tear this year, so, I'm not sleeping on Anthony Davis. He's played really well. He's had a heck of a season so far these last couple of games, especially bouncing back from last year, just being in street clothes so much, as they say. But they look good together. I thought they were getting out-rebounded in that Hornets game. It was ridiculous how badly they were getting out-rebounded. They gave up 19 offensive boards to the Hornets. And then once they got in, they got some stops. They were defending the paint. Porzingis and Gafford. Gafford had a couple dunks and I thought he got fouled on that last play. The NBA actually said that was a foul on that last play where Gafford got the putback from a Bradley Beal miss in the clutch. Gafford had one of his better games, and I thought Porzingis played well down the stretch there too. So I want to see that lineup more. It's a bigger lineup. They're versatile, and they defend the paint, and they both finish well around the rim, or they both finish well above the rim, and they both run the floor well. So you just got to get some more shooting out there. I thought Kispert's played the last games pretty well, so I think Kispert, you might have to put him in the starting lineup next to Brad and Monte Morris or Kuzma at the 3. And Zingis at the 4 and Gafford at the 5, and then Brad at the 2, and then Monte Morris or Jordan Goodwin at the 1. I think that would be your ideal lineup. You got to get some spacing there, but I think, the Wizards aren't a good three-point shooting team anyway, so they might as well try to go big and just, go against analytics and go against the grain and see how they can, finish in the paint and get easy baskets and defend and rebound better because they actually are a good rebounding team according to statistics. But when you watch the games, it doesn't really meet the eye test. You see them giving up offensive rebounds to Mason Plumlee and Nick Richards and just getting out physical. And I think when Porzingis and Gafford were in there together, they did a better job of that. That's how they came back. They were down by They were down by 22 against Charlotte, and we cut it to 1. And I actually thought the Wizards had they had many chances to win that game against the Hornets. But, we'll talk about Bradley Beal later. But Bradley Beal, he had, 3 turnovers in a row? He had a turnover. Another turnover, and then he missed the shot that potentially could have won the game.
Yeah, looking at the Charlotte game, getting back to the question, I think that is the lineup you got to explore. I think they play well together. Gafford, we're starting with the Charlotte game. Gafford played well. He played real well. Was it 10 points, 12 rebounds in 23 minutes? So his minutes are going up. The Charlotte game, that fourth quarter made a huge difference. What was it? 28-10. We that fourth quarter. So we held them to 10 points. We got within 1, so that was a blessing in itself because, the first 3 quarters, man, it was all Charlotte. Terry Rozier, 25 points. We called it. He kills us every time, man. Every single time. Kelly Oubre, first basket of the game. I mean, he came in with energy. So, looking at this starting 5, Monte, again, underwhelmed, but he contributes 12 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. So he's been better, especially with the shot. Bradley Beal, 33 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. So he played well tonight. Now, obviously the fourth quarter with the 2 turnovers and the shot, you got to be more clutch, man. We are definitely going to talk a lot about Beal tonight. But, going back to being the guy, got to be more clutch, man, especially in the fourth quarter. This is a winnable game. That fourth quarter, if he makes the right decisions in that fourth quarter, we walk away with a dub. So Denny, 8 minutes played. Kuz, 14 points. KP, 21 points, 11 rebounds. So the starting unit could have played better, especially Kuzma and KP, but I felt like they played decent. Bradley Beal played well, 33 points. But looking at the bench, let's talk about the bench real quick. Kispert, man, he's a bad man. I'm telling you, Kispert, he's playing well. I like what I see from Kispert, man. I do not want to trade him. He is not, to me, he's untradeable. I want him to stick around because you see his game improving. You really see between the driving, his basketball IQ, and his shot. He is playing well, man. Barton, 7 points. Again, Barton is struggling. He's continues to struggle with his shot. Goodwin, 3 points, but 6 rebounds. 6 rebounds from a guard is good. Of course, energy, defense. And back on Gaff. Again, Gaff continues to play well if given minutes. So, again, this is a winnable game against the Hornets. I think, with LaMelo being out, Gordon Hayward, who's always out, I thought this was a very winnable game. But I think it's encouraging. That fourth quarter was encouraging. They fought back. So, before we talk about the Lakers, sticking with the Hornets game, this is an optimistic loss to a certain degree.
Yeah. And Denny, he basically got benched in this game. He did not start the second half. I want to say Corey Kispert started in the second half. He's shooting 26.5, 26.5% from the 3-point line. He was underwhelming from the three again tonight. I know he's a solid defender, but when you're just not a threat from the 3-point line and they're not stepping out there to guard you, it's hard to play him. And West made a decision there, and I thought they played better in the second half. Like you said, Corey Kispert he's getting better. He's really improving. He's always done the things that we say, like 3-point shooting is getting more consistent. He's really good at cutting to the basket. He's really good at finishing at the rim. Like you said, basketball IQ. He's just a smart ball player. He was well coached at Gonzaga, 4-year college basketball player. He's just a smart player. So I'm not surprised to see what we're getting from Corey Kispert. He played well again against the Lakers. But yeah, we're gonna get into the Lakers game next.
Absolutely. I'm gonna throw a few more stats out there, and a couple more takeaways from the Hornets game, and then we'll move on to the Lake Show. Field goal percentage 45%, shot better as a team. 3-point percentage 36%, which is better than our usual. Free throws. Let's get on free throws. Lord have mercy. The free throws. Again, shot 26 from 35 from free throws. That continues to be a problem for this team. Free throws. The paint, another issue for this team. These two games together, we have been exploited in the paint. These teams have been able to do whatever they want in the paint on this team. KP needs to be more consistent with defending the paint. He has to. The big man. I love KP. I think he's a hell of a player. But is he a little on the skinny side? Yeah, it shows. These centers who got some muscle are muscling, man. They're muscling. And Nick Richards, man. He continues to be a wizard killer, man. He just for some reason, I don't know if somebody from DC made him mad or what, man. Because he comes into DC game, the Wizards games with a lot of energy, man. He's just mad. So, that's my biggest takeaways from this team with the Hornets game, man. It's just the paint defense has to get better, man. And the free throws, we have to hit them. So we're gonna go ahead and move.
And one more thing I'll say too. I'm sorry, I'll stop you here. But West, something's got to change with the last play of the game. Somebody else has to get the ball. And I like Bradley Beal. We don't get back into the game without Brad. Brad had 33 points. But I'm sorry, not sorry. But Bradley Beal at the end of the games, we've seen it time and time again. It's a dribble off your leg. The Miami Heat game this year, he got it plucked or dribbled off his leg, and then he shot a tough 3-point shooter. We end up losing that game. This game against the Hornets, dribbles off his legs, 2 to 3 turnovers in a row, and then you should have stepped back and you missed that. Time and time again, how many times do we have to say we don't want to see point Bradley Beal bringing the ball up, and it ends up in a turnover or a missed shot? There's other guys that can take shots at the game. Kuzma has shown to be clutch. Porzingis can shoot the three. Porzingis has had a 41-point game against the Timberwolves the other night. Why not try somebody else? There's other guys on it. Why not let Kispert drive to the rim and kick out to Kispert and let him shoot a three? Design a play like that. There's so many other ways to go in the game, but Wes keeps letting Bradley Beal just bring the ball up, and we see the end result time and time again. And this has happened since the John Wall days. So this has happened throughout Bradley Beal's career. Bradley Beal right now, he leads the league in clutch turnovers with 9 turnovers in the clutch. Last year, he led the league in clutch turnovers before he got injured. So it's a pattern. It's kind of like insanity. You keep doing the same thing over and over again. and you get the same results. So I just had to say that before we move on.
I'm glad you said something because they're trying to create him to be something he's just not. He's just not clutch. He's just not clutch, man. You know, time and time again, bouncing the ball off your foot. You know, it's time and time again, man. You could put saddle on a donkey, ain't a horse, man. Like we gotta, you know what I mean? We gotta stop trying to make him what he's not, man. So now I'm glad you brought that up because, like I said, we are going to talk about the real deal Bill tonight. But before we move on to the Lake Show game tonight, tonight's episode is brought to you by Turo. Turo is the world's largest car sharing marketplace. With Turo, you can book any car you want wherever you want it. From a community to local host, browse a huge selection of vehicles in just about any occasion or budget across the US, UK, Canada, and Australia. Book a spacious SUV or a minivan for a family road trip. Get a classic or luxury car for a special event, birthday, or holiday. Find an affordable economy cars if you're on a budget and just need to get from A to B. Test drive the new electric vehicle you've had your eye on to see how it fits your everyday life. Many Turo hosts can even deliver the car right to you. Please read the verbatim. Every trip is backed by liability insurance. Terms and conditions and exclusions apply. Forget boring rental cars and find your drive at Turo.com. Thanks for making Locked On Wizards your first listen today. For your second listen today, check on Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. So moving on to the present. Tonight, the Wizards dropped to the LA Lakers 130 to 119. And I'm telling you, brother, Anthony Davis was cooking like an air fryer, man. I mean, they came in to play tonight, man. A lot of former Wizards. Troy Brown showed up. Thomas Bryant showed up.
Yeah, he got a tribute video.
Man, it must not take much to get a video out of that. But, you know, Russ was back, and it just, wow. I hate to say this, man, but I thought this the entire time I watched this game. Different teams, man. You know, the Lakers, you know, they started out slow, but they're really building themselves up. They play like a contending team. It just shows two different teams, man. This is two different play styles. They were rocking tonight, man. Bradley Beal left the game, hamstring. I don't know. Did you get the final prognosis? I believe it was hamstring, right?
Yeah, it was a hamstring.
So he went out with a hamstring. Kuzma, former Laker, wanted to show out tonight. And we're going to talk about 3-point shooting. Denny, 7 points, 1 for 7 from 3-point line. Kuzma, 26 points, 1 for 7 from the 3-point line. Porzingis, 27 points, 1 from 6 from the 3-point line. So, again, 3-point shooting is sinking this team, sinking it fast. You know, we're relying too much on 3-point shots. So, do you think that's the problem? We're relying too much on 3-point shooting?
Yeah, they settle. And teams know they'll play zone. The Lakers were playing zone in some parts. You look at the Miami Heat; they play zone against us too. I think teams they know our kryptonite. They know we struggle to shoot from the three, and they're just daring the Wizards to shoot, and we fall for the trap. I think we're at our best when we attack the rim, we attack the basket. But when we're settling for threes, we're just shooting ourselves in the foot. We don't have a lot of shooters, and I was concerned about this before the season started. Kispert's our only legitimate 3-point shooter. Kuzma can shoot the three, but he's very inconsistent. Porzingis can shoot the three too, but he's pretty inconsistent as well. So the only consistent shooter we really have from the 3-point line is Corey Kispert. Barton 0 for 3. He just hasn't lived up to expectations this season at all. Monte Morris is a good 3-point shooter too. He was 2 for 6. He's been a good career 3-point shooter, but as a team, we're just not a good 3-point shooting team. And we fall into that trap all the time. Anthony Davis, like you said, he dominated 55. Could have had 60 if he really wanted to. Russ had 15 assists in his return. Anthony Davis, I think he was getting MVP chance. I think LeBron was getting MVP chance. The crowd was definitely 90%, probably 80% Lakers. I might be wrong about it. Maybe 60% Lakers. There was a lot of yellow jerseys in there tonight for sure. A lot of purple and gold. And it's like that every time the Lakers come to play. But yeah, I mean, Brad went out, and I don't think Brad being in there would have. I don't know if we would have won if Brad would have been healthy, to be honest with you, and that's kind of the problem. I don't think it would have gotten. I don't know if it would have got as ugly as it did. What's the largest lead the Lakers had? 29 or something like it was. Their largest lead was 29. Yeah, they were up by 30 at one point. Of course, the Wizards, they did cut it to 10. Kuzma went on a run. He went on a tear, and then he got in foul trouble. But the Wizards always do this. They get blown out for 3 quarters, and then they try to fight back at the end of the game. It's just too late. LeBron, he could not be stopped. Denny tried guarding LeBron, but he was getting bodied and put in the basket sometimes. Anthony, we couldn't stop the pick and roll. There was lobs to Anthony Davis. Lonnie Walker was getting baskets. He was backdoor cutting. The pace was crazy. Of course, the Lakers want to run up and down. We didn't get back on defense. Austin Reeves had a easy basket in transition. LeBron had a couple dunks in transition. Anthony Davis was bringing the ball up at like a point guard and scoring on us. The defense was awful, man. Like you said with Wes, you don't see a lot of emotion with Wes on the sideline or any energy or anything like that. You just don't. And I get that's his personality, but it kind of rubs off on the team too. And that's kind of the way the Wizards play too. They don't play with a lot of energy or intensity or fight or, like we say, the dog in them. They need more mean guys on this roster, and we just don't have it. We just don't. We couldn't get stops at all. Points in the paint, we gave up 72. We're terrible from the three-point line, 10 for 39. We got out-rebounded tonight as well. We just got bullied as well, out-physical. I thought Porzingis had some good moments, and Gafford has good moments, and Kispert played well. I thought he was our best player on the court sometimes. Kuzma was trying to force it a little bit and press too much, but we kind of needed somebody to be aggressive. So they just got dominated from start to finish. And like you said, the Lakers look like a playoff contending team. I don't know about championship contender just yet, but they show what a playoff contending team looks like versus what the Wizards are, like a play-in purgatory type of team.
You're absolutely correct. It's like spending your rent money up and then waiting until 2 days is due and then trying to figure it out. Like, you can't lose the first three quarters and then you trying to turn around and trying to make this comeback, man. Like, no, we got to stop doing that. We've been saying it all season, man. Put the foot on the pedal. You need to start out strong. They need to start out strong. And it's shown in a few games this season, but this deficit, it just never works. Especially, you can come back from deficits, but if you can't defend the paint or the perimeter or in transition, and there's no communication, you're not going to beat anybody. You're not going to come back from anybody. So you brought up Gaff. Put some respect on his name a little bit. 19.7 rebounds. They gave him minutes, and he responded. He was a bright spot on this team today. He showed energy, and, yeah, he got out-muscled a little bit. I mean, look, Anthony Davis, man, he's having a good year. It's good to see him. I'm a Wizards fan, but I'm also an NBA fan. It's good to see Davis kind of healthy. I'm not going to go about the Lakers leading because I really don't like the Lakers, but, it's good to see him kind of come back, and he showed 55 points, man. I mean, it's crazy. But now getting back on Gaff played well, 19 points, man. He was electric tonight. Kispert, again, he is playing good. You really got to explore him being in the starting lineup because his shot is dropping. He's showing poise out there. A lot of people get down when they're down by that amount. No, he's still – the energy's still there. He's still driving. He's still shooting. The confidence there, a little bit of leadership, especially from a young guy. So, but, a couple more people on the bench. Man, Barton, bro. 0 from 5 from the field, 0 from 3 from three-point arc, man. Non-existent. Look, I don't know what Wes is going to do, but it appears he's going to play himself out of his rotation. He's just not playing well. The shot ain't dropping. The energy's, you can tell the energy's not there. So it was just, it could have been uglier. The fact that we lost by 11, again, a blessing in itself. And Denny, man, 7 points, 1 for 7 from the three-point line. Look, what they tell you going all the way back to rec league, man. If the shot ain't dropping, bring the shot in closer. You know what I'm saying? You got to start driving the ball. The shot ain't dropping. We were very optimistic about him, his three-point shot being better this season because, he was working out with Drew Hanlon and, showing the shot off in FIBA, but it's just not hitting, man. It's not hitting. And, we were talking before the show and, we talked about it when we were talking about the Jay Crowder deal. I think you got to entertain maybe sending him to Phoenix. I know Denny fans are not going to be happy with me, but
they might be happy because there's a lot of Denny fans that I've seen on Twitter that have, they want him to be traded. So yeah. I think Denny fans would actually be happy with you.
I like Denny. I think he is a really good talent, but I think he's got ways to go till he's a complete package. You know what I'm saying? So he's not a 3-and-D right now. That's what we need. So if the goal is to get a 3-and-D, I'm kind of ebbing towards Denny being a guy that we need to move. What do you think?
Instead of Rui? Yeah, instead of Rui.
I mean, you could go either way, and I think the contract, the Rui, him going into a contract year, I think is a bigger factor with the Wiz moving him over Denny because Denny still has some years left, and they can still work with him. Rui's going to a contract situation where, if you're going to pay Kuz, you can't afford both. But if you're intent on rebuilding, then Rui needs to stay. And I mean, that's my personal opinion. If we're going to rebuild, I would love to see Rui stay. But if we're still trying to find these pieces to try to make this into a playoff team, then, what do you do?
Yeah, I think it's time for a change of scenery for Denny. It's just not working out here. Like you said, we need a 3-and-D guy. He doesn't fit. I think Jay Crowder would be a better fit. I'm not saying Jay Crowder is going to make this team light years better or make us into a championship contender at all. But that's just what we need. They need a guy that doesn't need to put the ball on the floor and need the ball in his hands. And Denny needs the ball in his hands to be successful. And he's not a three-point shooter. He's shooting 26% from the three-point line. Like, you're saying that he needs to step in and take shots, but you got to take those open shots. You can't pass them up. You got to shoot them. They're leaving him wide open. He's gotten some open looks. Like, he's really open. Like, he's wide open. He's missing these threes. He's really missing these threes. They're good looks. You got to take them. You miss all the shots that you don't take. That's the saying. You miss all the shots you don't take, you miss, or a shot that's not taken is a miss. But they ended up being misses anyway for him right now. But I think a change of scenery would be best. And I think we're missing Rui too. We do miss his scoring off the bench. And if I had to trade one or the other, I think I would trade Denny right now. Right now, just for the role right now, it's just not working out. I'd rather have Kispert in there playing over Denny right now. I think Kispert's playing better than him. And right now, we talk about Denny's defense, but he's getting called for fouls. It is hard to stop LeBron, but he just had no answer for LeBron right now. And he's struggling to make layups right now. His offensive game is just a struggle right now. You said it worked out with Drew Allen. I guess it hasn't shown yet. I thought he had a good year in FIBA basketball, but that's not NBA basketball. It's different ways and rules and talents. But Denny's struggling right now. And I think a change of scenery would be best. For what the Wizards need, they do need a 3-and-D guy. And I think Jay Crowder would be a fit. Once again, like I said, don't take my word saying that Jay Crowder is the best player in the world, that he's going to change his team, but that would be a better fit than what Denny's providing for us right now.
Yeah, I mean, Jay Crowder would be a better guy in that position. I mean, like you said, Jay Crowder's not going to make this into a championship team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
or Sadiq Bey. I think.
I mean, neither one of them really moved.
Yeah, that's true.
The needle.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, obviously, Ted wants a playoff team. So would they make it a playoff team as far as maybe an 8 seed to a plan? Yeah, but we know what the problem is. But I mean, we can talk about it a little bit. But I would like to see Jay Crowder, but again, that's not going to move the needle. So, before we wrap it up on the Lakers game, it's just a few more takeaways I'm getting out of it. Kuz and his turnovers, man. That first half, I mean, Kuz has got to stop with the turnovers, man. He's just the travel calls. It feels like he gets tagged with travel calls every game, every single game.
6 turnovers.
Again, absolutely. Paint defense again is an issue. KP first choice is a 3-point shot. He can't be so quick to shoot that 3-point shot. We've got one thing I noticed about his team that really dooms his team is too many one-touch possessions and 5 seconds in the clock. We're already shooting. Work the ball around. Work the off. I mean, I know Wes has got an offense. I hope he does. Work the ball around, man. Actually run some plays. Like, it feels like one guy touches the ball, maybe 2 guys, and then 5 to 7 seconds in the clock, we're shooting the ball, and there's no. You know what I mean? It's just we're too quick to shoot and we're too fast with the possessions. We got to really, really get back to playing team basketball. But before we move on to Bradley Beal, it has an ad for the night.
This episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From football to basketball to soccer and esports, we've got it all on BetOnline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline where the game starts. All right, Brandon, you want to talk about Brad real quick, and then I guess we'll read 3 comments and wrap it up.
Yes, sir. So as a lot of you know, or you're going to find out, Bradley Beal was on Gilbert Arenas' podcast, and they were talking about his free agency, and he has some interesting comments about that. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up real quick. And a lot of people were not happy about his comments. It says, quote unquote, this is from NBA Central, quote unquote, this is from Bradley Beal. There were no teams in the market free agency wise. I was just being frank. There was nowhere else for me to go where I could be like, oh, I can go win. So a lot of fans aren't happy about that. They feel like, he knew he was going to get that extravagant amount from his team. I mean, how do you feel about his comments?
It's not good. It just seems like, oh, there's nowhere else I could go win, so I'm gonna just go to the Wizards and just fall back and take the money, honestly. So I do understand why fans are upset for sure. I mean, it's frustrating to hear that. He gets a no trade clause from that. Why would you get and that it makes the no trade clause look even worse. Because if there was a place where he feels like he could go in, are you saying now you could interpret it as, are you saying that the Wizards aren't a place where you could win? Or you were just looking at other places where you could go to win, but those places weren't available, so you just settled for the Wizards? It felt like the Wizards were the girl that you just settled for. Like there were other girls that he was looking for out there, but he just settled with this girl because he knows that he can come home and he can get all this money. He can get the $250 million. He can get the $250 million. That's kind of what it comes off as. And sometimes with Bradley Beal, when he does these interviews, he has to be a little bit more thoughtful with his answers. Maybe he's being a little too truthful where he doesn't know the backlash that it's going to get. And it comes off as it's a bad look for the Wizards. We gave this guy a no trade clause and rewarding him so much. When he goes out there saying that there was nowhere else for me to go where I can be like, oh, I can go win. So let's say if there was another place he could go, would he jump at the bit and go there instead of coming to the Wizards? But I think all along that he knew that he had an opportunity to get $250 million. He knew this. Him and his agent, they planned this out. They knew this 2 or 3 years ago that he was going to opt out of his contract and that the Wizards were going to give him this money. He knew Tommy Shepard, Ted Leonsis was going to give him this money. So he had this all planned out. And I don't blame fans for being upset about this at all.
Boy, oh boy, where do I start?
And this interview after he finished those games so bad, the Hornets game, he had a terrible finish, and he has an interview like this as well. Against the Hornets where he doesn't show up in the clutch.
Yeah, where do I start with this, man? Very unfortunate comments. Very unfortunate comments.
And like I said, it seems like he didn't want to come back here. Like he was kind of forced to come back. That's the kind of you'd rather want him to say, "Oh, I wanted to be a Wizard. I wanted to be a Washington Wizards." You rather him say that than saying, "Oh, the Heat. There was no way I could get to the Heat. There's no way I could get to the Lakers." That's what it kind of sounds like,
Yeah, but why lie, man? Like you this whole I want to be the Dirk Nowitzki of the Wizards. Like, come on, bro. Like or I want to be here. Come on, man. Why lie? I mean, we all kind of knew that he was looking at other teams. Miami was always been calling. But why lie? Why lie, man? A lot of us already knew it was the bag. It was the money. Look, we all know. And most of us would have took the money. But let's be real, man. Like, it's not about it is about the money a little bit. Like, we all knew he wasn't that max guy. Bradley, not Bradley, but John Wall to me, he was worth that max outside the injuries. Because he was a floor general. He made everybody around him better. If you look at Gilbert Arenas, he was worth that money. Now, it was unfortunate because of the knee. The contract ended up hurting us more than it helped us. But really, Gilbert Arenas was a walking 30-piece every night. Like, Bradley, Bill, you from being a spot-up guy to working on your game, but your game ain't there because we were scared when you got the ball in the fourth quarter. This is a slap in the face, man, because it's not just this, and we got to deal with the arrogance and you laughing and playing around and joking around. Like today, the first thing he does, he's hopping around after the tip. What are you doing, man? Get the ball down. It's the other stuff, man. You hanging out with Jason Tatum and laughing. 2K comes out, man. Your wife out there getting mad because you were 89. Like, come on, bro. Like, really? or fans are getting on you, and she's coming to help out. Like, oh, you're going to get on the fans for the organization that your husband plays for? Really? I mean, we're worth more than that, man. Look, fans pay that, man. Fans showing up, they pay that contract, man. I think it's a slap in the face for this organization, to be honest with you, because it's very arrogant. You come in, you got your money, and then you're laughing around. You're not taking things serious. It's a slap in the face. Look, I appreciate what you've done for the city, man. Look, you've done more than a lot of people do for this city, straight up. And, I love what you've done for this community. It helps, man, because we're hurting right now. This economy is hurting. So I love it, man. But the arrogance as a player, to me, time to go. Look, you want to play somewhere else. Go play in Boston. No, we need to blow it up. It's time to blow it up. We are 11-13. All right. We're 11-13, man. Like, what are we doing? our hopes to get a plan, like
Yeah.
for real, like
Yeah, we just lost to the Hornets without LaMelo Ball, without Gordon Hayward. They're what are they 7-15? They're in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes right now.
We need to be. You seen that brother play? Bro, I'm trying
Scoot
to tell
Henderson
you right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he can play. I mean, we need to blow this thing up, man. I'm going to go ahead and call it. We need to blow it up. We need to blow it up. We need any young guy you think is part of the future, keep him. If we're going to blow it up, bring Rui back, sign him to an extension, bring Kispert back, see what you got with Johnny, and I'm sending Denny out of town. But KP, look, player option, look, he's going to have an option somewhere else. I'm trading him. Kuz, I'm trading him. I'm being real with you, man. You get as many picks as you can out of the value these guys are playing right now. KP, Kuz, all of them go. You got to blow it up, and see if you can get him or Scoot. Why not, man? Because Bradley Beal obviously does not want to be here. There's a reason why he got the no trade clause, because he knew that he had the choice to go to any team he wants to. And I'm very passionate, as you can tell, because I like Bradley Beal, man, but this is a slap in the face. You do that to these fans, man. These fans are, and that's another thing. I'm gonna get on somebody real quick. You're gonna let another team's fans come in your arena and shout MVP? Ain't happening.
You see Russell Westbrook dancing like that?
Man, on your court? Ain't happening, brother. You better ask somebody how I roll Commanders games, man. I am loud. And look, we got that Clippers game. Look, we're going to be loud. Because, look, you got to have some home field advantage. This is a 202. This is DC, man. Protect the home court. You going to let somebody else come in there in your court and chant MVP? Ain't happening, brother. Ain't happening. So, no, it's time to blow it up, man. I'm sorry for rambling, but I think it's time to blow it up, man.
No, man, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, Ted said he'll never, ever tank. I mean, this is real talk. What you're saying is what people have been saying for the last 2 to 3 years, honestly. So, but yeah, it is a slap in the face. I think Ted hearing this too is a slap in your face. You hear this from Bradley Beal saying that there was nowhere else for me to go, so I just settled for the Washington Wizards and I got paid $250 million. Like I just rewarded a guy with a no trade clause and a trade kicker, and he says that in an interview. But I am going to listen to the interview. Maybe there's some more context to it. I don't know if everybody else has listened to the full. Have you listened to the full interview yet?
Yeah, I mean, I listened to the whole thing because I figured, man, it's arenas and Bill, two dudes. I thought it was going to be a good interview, and it was overall. But my takeaway from the interview was, I'm going to be totally honest with you, was a lot of arrogance, and I think Arenas side a little bit, man, is a lot of arrogance, man, about how he feels himself as a player. He really feels himself in a way that I don't think everybody really agrees with. He really feels like he's a franchise guy. He really believes that he's a top tier dude. And I just ain't seen it, man. The arrogance, man. And you know what? Let's go ahead and go back. I saw the arrogance with the John Wall years. You know what? I know that when John Wall got traded, they had a little interview where it's like, oh no, we were bros the entire time. Bro, please, come on, man. We knew there was traction between you and John Wall. We knew that you wanted to be the guy. And that's the big reason. And the video with the gang signs and the injuries was just their reason to send him out of town. He gave him a reason. That's all it was, because he wanted to be the guy. And how many seasons are we going to try to make this guy the guy? He's not the guy. He's just not the guy. Stop it. He's not the guy. So look, offer him whatever. Send him to Boston. Him and Tatum can high five all and shoot bubbles all they want on the court. I don't care. But it's time's up, man, because I'm trying to be optimistic that this team can turn it around. But I mean, look, it's 11-13. We're a quarter away in the season, man. You're starting to see the true identity of any team right now. And this team is, if your ultimate goal is playing, then what are we talking about, man? You know what I mean? So that's my piece, brother.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're preaching, man. You took him to church. You took him to Wizards Church, man. Seriously. We'll get into some comments. We're at 33 minutes now. We had to get a lot off our chest. There was 2 games over the weekend, so we could go on and on about this. Daryl Haiti says the other girls didn't ask him to go to prom, so I settled for Molly. That's what it feels like. It feels like there was no other ladies out there for him to go with, so he picked a lady that he knew was just going to give him the money. It was going to give him the $250 million. And to your point about him being a franchise guy, he's not. He's like Chris Middleton. He really isn't that Chris Middleton tier. I think if Chris Middleton was the number 1 guy on a team, I think him and Chris Middleton would put up similar numbers. I think he's a better player than Chris Middleton, but honestly, it's hard to argue that too. Him and Zach LaVine, I think they're in that same tier at times. Bradley Beal's a great player, but he's not a number 1 guy. He's just not a guy that you really build your franchise around. Big J and Brandon, if you see any comments that stand out to you, you can definitely point him out. Big J 52 says, "Can we finally admit Brad is not the one he needs to go so this team can slow down and grow with Kuz and KP?" Kuz and KP too. I mean, they're not building blocks to build a contender, but I do think that they played good basketball when Brad didn't play, when they were 4-1 and they had that 4-game winning streak. I thought they played good ball. I do think Denny plays better when Brad's not there. That's just an observation that I see. Kuz is more aggressive. He gets more ball handling duties as well, as you saw Kuz step up in the second half. I thought he played better in the second half. KP's been good with and without Bill. He had the 41-point game with Bill, so I'm not going to say Kuz. I'm not going to say Porzingis plays better without Brad, but yeah, I think it's just ran its course. We've seen enough of Bradley Bill being the number one guy or building around him, and I think we've seen enough losses to figure out and know the end game for Bradley Bill being the number one guy.
Absolutely. Look, this is it. I mean, to me, and that's what frustrates me, because Ted is holding on to this theory that he's not going to tank. I mean, how do you think Philly got to where they are? They were like, they wrote the book on it, man. Like,
that's the process.
You know, I mean, come on. I mean, it's time to rebuild. We got to stop, rebuild. Looking at wrestling welfare, Wiz need a tank for Scoot Wembenyama and move on from Brad to save our future. I'm with you. If we can get one of the two of these guys, man, I'm with you. This cat out of France, man. Wembenyama, man, he can play. I mean, he's a guy who, I mean, how tall is he? He's a 7-footer, right?
7'6".
Woo!
At least 7'5".
Bro, and you see his handles, his shot. I mean, come on, man. He looked good in a Wizards uniform. I mean, here's the thing, man. As a fan, I want people to want to be here. I want people to want to be here. You know, if you don't want to be here, if we were your last choice, what are you telling people? What are you telling your season ticket holders, man? That we were, you know, you went to the prom with us just because we didn't have nobody to go with, brother. Like, come on.
Right. All right, last one. OBJ Dedon, he has a more positive outlook on it. You give this team a point guard and a small forward, they're good to go. I mean, yeah, you got to give them a lot. It sounds like a lot. You got to find a point guard and a small forward. There's just not a lot of point guards available out there. So you're really just going to have to find somebody, DeLon Wright, Jordan Goodwin, Monte Morris going to have to step up. There's just not many guys available for trade at the point guard position. And who are you going to give up? You got to look from both sides. What players do you have available to give up that another team would want? We just don't have a lot of assets that, you know, the best assets on our team are players that we want, like Kuz. He would be a good trade asset, but we want Kuz to be on the team. Porzingis would be a trade asset too, but we need him on the team. The other guys like Rui, you're not going to get much for him in return. Denny, you're not going to get much in return for him. Barton, you're not going to get much in return. We don't have many picks to give up, or picks are tied to protection. So the Wizards are just kind of stuck. You know, they're just kind of stuck. They're not going to make a lot of moves. Even getting Jay Crowder is not going to be easy to get him. And that's the name we've been tied to, Sadiq Bey, guys like that. And they're not needle movers either. So, yeah, you can say they need a point guard and a small forward. Yes, that is true. But how is Tommy Shepard going to work his magic? They're just going to have to make some moves at the deadline. And when it gets to the deadline, what is their record going to be? If they continue this trajectory, they're going to be under 500 at the deadline. So it's just a lot of questions they got to get figured out for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the short version of my answer, because there's a long answer to this, but I'm not gonna. I appreciate everybody, showing tonight. To keep it quick, yeah, in theory, yes, a point guard, a stripping point guard with size would be ideal, and a 3-and-D small forward. But again, we are at the extent of what we can give up. Draft picks just ain't happening anymore, man. And outside of our veteran guys, which if you're trading them, you're not really trying to get a point guard and small forward anymore. So, I mean, which young guys are other teams going to want? Denny has his shortcomings. I think, and even his defense has not shown up lately. And that was his calling card, man. Rui, I see him having some interest. Miami always had interest in him. So, I mean, what are you really going to give up? I mean, I think we're at the end of our resources. We have nothing else left to give. And this is why Supermaxes are so hard to give out, man, because unless you have a guy who's a top 5 to top 10 player in this league who is going to guarantee a certain level of production, it's tough to build around that. And that's what really gets the fans' nerves about this whole situation, because he knew that. He knew how hard it was going to be to build around him, man, because he had to know that. From a player perspective, you knew how much the salary, if you want to be a franchise guy, you know how much cap space is available to build around you, because you want the organization to build around you. So he knew that. It's hard to build around a Supermax guy. The only teams that can really build around Supermax contracts are teams like Golden State, because most of their players were drafted. So there's a lot of protections when it comes to extending your guys and how far you can go into the luxury tax because you drafted those guys. You know, when you bring guys from outside the organization, you cannot extend them and have the protections in going into the luxury like you can with guys that you drafted. So, you know, I'm just going to leave it at that, man.
Right. But yeah, we're going to wrap it up here. OF says it's not the lose, and it's the way Kuz and the rest of the team looks without him. They do look a little fluid. Like I said that before. I think they did look fluid without Bradley Beal in those 4-game winning streak. We'll leave it at that. We'll end on that. I just want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, make it Locked On Sports Today. Check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you guys subscribe to Locked On Wizards on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Hail to the Wizards. Peace.